Hey guys, in this video I just want to show you the basic use of the Explain Everything app. This app's quite cool. It allows you to make short video tutorials or have your students make short video tutorials, and the product is quite similar to the types of videos that you would find on the Khan Academy. So up here we've got the logo for Explain Everything, so I'm just going to open it up, and this is once you've got a few projects in there, that's how it will appear. Probably going to be blank if you haven't actually made any yet, but up in the top corner here you'll see where you want to start is the new projects button with a little plus, so we're going to touch on that there, and then it gives us the option to do a few different things. We can start a blank project, or we can import some kind of file or media from Evernote or Dropbox or from our photo, so it could be a photo, and I'm just going to start with a blank project, and then it gives me this plain white screen. Now I'm just going to work through. You'll see here on the left hand side there's a whole lot of icons, and each one of those represents a different task or a different option that you have to add to this. So up the very top is just almost like a blank screen with a green plus, or green circle with a white plus in it. If you touch on that, it allows you to add more pages to your presentation, and down here it has, in the bottom left corner, it shows you how many slides you've got in your presentation. So by touching on the arrows either side of that, you can flick between, and at the moment I haven't got anything on there, so each slide is exactly the same, but that tool up there allows you to add more pages. Just underneath that is basically a slide sorter for the slides that you've created, and like I said, I've got two so far because I pressed that white plus button in the green circle. So I've got two slides here but nothing's actually on them. I'll just touch that again to get rid of it. Underneath that you've got the icon which is a pencil, and if I touch on that it brings me up some drawing options. So here I've got different colours for the pen or the drawing tool, whatever I use, and down here you've got a set of lines, and they indicate the thickness of the pen that you might use. Or there's a blue slider here, and if I touch my finger on that I can change the thickness of the drawing tool, and I can also set it to be a transparent pen or a solid line. So the product of that, if I choose a colour, let's say I choose blue, I'll touch on the blue colour there, and just touch in the middle it disappears. I can then write in here, and I've obviously got the transparency tool set, so I'll just show what it looks like. Touch on that again as a solid line. Oh, or maybe I haven't. Hold on, let me see. Okay, maybe it's the colour, that's interesting. There we go, my mistake, sorry. This slider, blue slider here, is for your transparency. The bars up the top are for predefined thicknesses. So there we go, I've learned something myself. Underneath your pen tool there, you've got a projector screen with a red dot on it, and that, again, if I touch on that, hold it down, it brings up some different pointer options. I'm just going to use this red medium-sized circle here, touch on that, and you can touch on the screen, and whenever I hold my finger on the screen and move it around, I get this red pointer. Alright, there's a number of different ones of those, so again you might choose the blue arrow, and again you get the blue arrow come up as your pointer. Obviously it's hidden under my finger at the moment, but when we move on a little bit you'll see how this appears when you're actually recording. You don't actually see. Anyway, I'll show this soon. We've got, underneath the pointer, we've got the different circles here, or shapes. We've got circle, square, star, arrows and lines. You can select those up the top. We've also got different colours that we could choose for those, or you can go for the custom colour. We've got, again, transparency fill down here, and we can also set border widths as well, which is great. Okay, so let's say for example I just chose the circle, and this colour, whatever it is, I can drag it there, and you can see that it's slightly transparent, and it's also got a different coloured border to the fill colour, so we can change all that within these options here. Alright, so I might not have a border at all and put my circle on, and this time there's no border, but still slightly transparent. Underneath the shapes tool, which is the one I've just showed you, again that was the shapes there, is the letter A, alright, and this is text option. So if I hold my finger down on that, it brings up my text options, and I can change the size of text I want to use, or touching on the font brings me up heaps and heaps of different fonts that you might choose. Alright, and then the colour of the font you're going to use as well, and again a text border. So let me just touch out over here. When I touch on the screen, so I'll show that again. Let's try and do another one over here. So if I select the text and I just touch on the screen, it brings up a text box. Then I can start typing a word in there, and if I spell it wrong, it'll try and auto-correct me. So I've typed a word in and click on the little green tick sign, and there we go. We've got a text box prepared, and I can move that around using my finger around the screen. If I double tap on it, it allows me to then bring up the editing options, and there's two arrows up here, one running horizontal, one vertical, and they allow you to resize your text box. So again, once you're happy where it is, you can press the green tick. Underneath the A there is another icon here which allows you to add different types of media. So I've got images, or I can add some information or some kind of media from the web, or I can insert a document. So I could maybe go into my photo roll, and I'll just check this, select this picture here. Alright, and this was an image that was stored on my camera roll. Again, I can move it around, I can resize it, I can change the rotation using multi-touch gestures. So if I pinch inward, it makes it smaller. If I extend my fingers out, it makes it larger. If I hold one finger down in the middle and then drag my finger either clockwise or counterclockwise, it will rotate it. Alright, I can also crop. Alright, so if I touch on crop up in the top corner here and then touch the picture, sorry, let me undo that. Crop, and then there we go. Drag my finger to select the section that I want. Make it a little bit larger, and touch on done once I've selected that. It's cropped my image. I can also free select the area I want. So up the top here, the free select touch button. Touch on that, and I can let me try that again. Crop out that section, and I've got half the polar bear left. So I'll just make that a little bit larger. And then when I'm happy with the image, I can touch on done. You don't have to do all that cropping. You could just bring a picture in straight from your camera roll, and it'll insert in there if you're happy with it. So now I've got my polar bear, and again I can move that around and reposition it. Underneath that I've got an X, and if I touch on that, it's essentially a delete key. So once I've selected that, I can select an object in here. So I'll touch on my big purple circle, and it starts shaking, and it has a little red delete or close up the top. So I'm going to touch on that, and that deletes that shape. And every time you want to delete something, you just touch on the X there and then select whatever it is you want to delete. Okay. So underneath that, you've also got another tool, which is an up and down arrow, and that's essentially allowing you to move things forward or back. Okay, so what level does it, or what layer does it fit in your slideshow? So if I touch on those and then select another object, the polar bear, if I send it to the back, I've got four options: send to, bring to front, bring forward, send to back, or send backward. If I send it right to the back, then it should be behind everything else that I've created in here. Alright, so every other object appears on top of that, even though this was the most recent thing I added, which would make it the top layer. Alright, so you're changing the layer at which something exists. Underneath that, you've got an undo arrow again, so now you're undoing, so it's moving things back to where they were before I moved them. And the last tool is a magnifying glass. Now what this does is it centers an object. So if I touch on the magnifying glass, then double tap on the polar bear, it brings the polar bear to the center of the page. If I now double tap on the word woo, or whatever it is, it'll bring that to the center, or my hello down the bottom. Right, so this just allows, it's like a centering tool. Right, now I'll bring the polar bear back into the middle, or maybe here. That's good. Alright, now so far I've shown you how you can add different types of thing into it, but the thing I haven't shown you is actually how you record and make this into a video. So I've added all that text there, and now let's just assume that this was the early stuff that I wanted on the slide before I was going to make the video for the students. So I've just set up the template, I guess, for my lesson tutorial. Down the bottom here is a red button, right, and that indicates record. So once I press that, it's going to start recording whatever comes up on our blank screen here, plus any audio, so my voice talking. What won't come up are the options on the left hand side here. So while it's recording, even if I select one of these icons here, it won't bring up, say for example, all these options over the screen. So the students or whoever's watching it isn't going to see you changing the different types of media or content that you're going to add. So let's see how that looks. So here's the record button. So it's in the process. You've got a timer down here as well, which is going. This will be recording my voice now. If I touch on my pointer and bring up again this pointer here, you can see here I'm just going around the polar bear's face. I might be talking about the polar bear and some different features of it, or talking about how big its paws might be, or the fact that it's got some really thick layer of fur. Polar bears can't actually talk English, so it wouldn't be saying hello. You can indicate different things on the screen that you want your students to pay attention to. You might also add some text. So we'll just add some blue text and just here, and it might be roar, okay, a noise that a polar bear might make. Or you might want to draw something in for them and point something out in particular. So go, right, he's going to have big claws, right? They're very big claws, and polar bears don't wear glasses, but this one does, right? So I'm going to stop there by touching on the red. You can actually pause if you wanted to bring something else in, but I'm just going to touch on the record button again, and that will stop the recording. Right, and now what I can do is press play. Alright, I'll just turn this up a bit and I'll press play. So just watch the timer, and what you'll see is the actual video. It's not me talking now. Well, it is me, but in the video. Here's the record button. So it's in the process. You've got a timer down here as well, which is going. This will be recording my voice now. If I touch on my pointer and bring up again this pointer here, you can see here I'm just going around the polar bear's face. I might be talking about the polar bear and some different features of it, or talking about how big its paws might be, or the fact it's got some really thick layer of fur. Polar bears can't actually talk English, so I wouldn't be saying hello. You can indicate. Alright, so you get the idea of that. Now lastly, what you can do down the bottom right corner here, a couple of options. You can whatever's on your screen. If you just created an image and you wanted to send just that image out, you can touch on this, and it allows you to send your image to photo roll or to email, to a Dropbox. Heaps and heaps of options. You can even convert it to PDF and send it in that form. Or you can export it as a video. So if you have actually gone to the effort of making it into a video with audio and some active drawing and stuff over the screen, then why wouldn't you? And you can save that export it directly to photo roll or to YouTube or to email. Any of those options there. And lastly, before you finish, you'd obviously, touching on this arrow, you can save your project, so you can come back and work on it on another time. Alright, so I'll just call that polar bear. And save. Done. Alright, so that's the basic features of Explain Everything in about 12 minutes. Lots of different uses, I think, in class. The Khan videos have been very popular with a lot of students. What we have to do is go and look at the feedback that's online, and some people obviously don't like it. It definitely has a helpful place for students. So why not make your own for your students? Any emails, any questions? Sorry, just give me an email, and I'd love to hear any feedback you've got. Thanks.